All right. So good topic, and I actually posted on this topic the other day, and it's um, it's a good way to reflect and take some time to evaluate. So the topic is going to be more about the end of the year, just ways to review, wrap up, set the stage for success for um, the start of next year, the first quarter. So with that said, I'm going to jump into this. Where the season matters, obviously there's a lot going on, in holiday, family, things of that nature. Most part, people are in good spirit, but there's a lot of stress around that too. So, why does the season matters? It's a time for you to create space, uh, minimize noise if you can. You can carve out some time for clarity, reflection, and then do some reviewing. So, uh, kind of takes, if you can do this with a spouse, it'd be fantastic. And, get away your environment to a different environment. It's even better. We've done this from a business standpoint in depth in different environments. We'd go out of town and rent a hotel room for a couple of days and work most of the day and then, plan something special around that with dinner or some type of show or things of that nature. But anyway, trying to get out of your environment is going to be good as well. So, so what you want to do is recalibrate, do a review, figure out what went well, what feels unfinished, what markers did you miss, or did you hit them all? Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit, but that's why you want to do this review because you identify the wins, high five, celebrate those, and then obviously the losses, identify those as well, and evaluate what was the lesson, if there's an emotional response to it, and then extract that lesson information. That way, going forward, you can maneuver those situations a little bit better. So the cost of never reflecting, without reflection, patterns repeat. So, and we may stay stuck doing the same thing and or repeating the same actions, and that's not necessarily a good pattern to be in. So, same habits, same frustrations, reflection interrupts the drift. But you also have to get clear. Clarity is very important because it gives you a roadmap, a direction, a focus point to continue to go after. Because if you start getting off course, you can course correct if you know where you're going. Again, it's a skill. If you've not done this, I would recommend doing it in a multitude of areas of your life. You can do a big breakdown, from health, uh, your business, your operations, your career, family. So you can just keep going, relationships, things of that nature. So reflections and data analysis, not self-criticism. It's data points. We got to use those data points. Got to extract those data points. You want to perform. You want to review things honestly and be honest with yourself, right? Because sometimes what we do is we kind of brush off the side and not really take that information in properly and really evaluate and say, okay, um, could I have done a better job? What areas do I need improvement in? What areas do I need to change? What areas are not serving me? So you always want to start with the wins. Obviously, wins are evidence that, hey, I was doing some right thing or doing some things right, excuse me. And I was showing up a way that, to move the needle forward and celebrate those for a little bit. And then you want to move on, obviously. You want to kind of grasp that feeling and understand what that feeling was like when you hit that goal or won that specific um, marker point or whatever that may be. Specifically, we probably could talk more around goal, but future memory, you know. So um, it's going to help you with reveal the systems that were working. Maybe maybe some systems weren't broke. Maybe some systems were working. Obviously, it's going to build your confidence, and confidence is key. It can change a lot of things. List at least five wins in some of the categories that I described. if you can get there. Three, if not, right? You want to keep it simple. Don't make it overcomplicated. Here's some prompts to kind of pull that out. Where did I fall through? What habits stayed consistent? Where did I follow through? Excuse me. What habits stayed consistent? What decisions paid off? So all those are just prompts that are going to give you more reflection. And then, why do you avoid wins? Ignoring wins creates burnout. And this is where, one of the areas that I've always struggled with, because as soon as we hit a milestone or marker point, I'm off to the next. But you can create some space and reflect and understand, hey, that was an awesome job. How can we get to that marker point again? Or what was the lessons from, what do we do well? What areas that we need improvement to make that more easy the next time? So again, acknowledging wins is going to build a little bit of momentum, and momentum is important. You guys have heard me talk about that. And then the next component, after you go through all those and lay them out and do a good evaluation, acknowledge losses. Losses are instructions, not indictments. They are feedback and it's information. So ownership is going to create leverage. It's going to give you the tools you need to move forward. And when we do these components, it's going to allow us to grow because who you are today, you're going to be different, 3 or 4 days from now. So there's growth patterns there. And then loss categories. Again, I kind of talked about this earlier because you want to do this in wins and like training, nutrition, energy, stress, standard relationships, whatever list makes sense to you. You can break it down. You can go fairly deep. And again, don't make it too complicated where you're not going to do it or not go deep enough. So I would just choose a couple different categories where there's relationship, health, wealth, business, um, and then go from there. And this is one thing that we probably all struggle with is ego versus ownership. Sometimes our ego gets in the way, and it creates more problems. And then um, we maybe not we refrain from taking ownership sometimes, um, or push it away. So you want to make sure that you are honest and take responsibility because that allows you to have more depth and then make the changes you need to make because every outcome has information. Win shows what areas you're doing well in repeating or you're focusing more on. Losses show that you need more structure built into it and or more clarity around those specific situations. Or is it something you need to remove from your personal environment? Maybe. So you just got to go through that and really extract the information from both these. So what happened? Why? What was missing? Uh, what changes next? And this is going to help you lay out the roadmap to keep you moving forward. Again, you hear me talk about slight progression over perfection. Progression, you're going to make slight adjustments. Perfection, typically, it leads to stagnation and or non-movement. So I see people waiting for the perfect time. May not ever be a perfect time. Again, you got to create the momentum. So you got to, start the progression, get the energy moving. Uh, Evaluation is always going to be beats flawlessness. So, you evaluate, adjust, progress, and keep moving. I see this too many times. This all or nothing mentality for perfectionism kills momentum. Progression preserves consistency. So again, consistency is going to be key. Progression is going to be key to build some of that momentum. But you want to make sure with your evaluation, you got a clear path or a really um, clear picture of where you're going because that's going to be because you can have the progression and consistency but it's moving in the wrong direction so make sure you map out that in the direction you desire, because that's what we can get off as well. Reflection without honesty, no excuses, no blame. Truth gives control. So if you're truthful with yourself, you can have more control. It allows you to make a better decision. You kind of move some of the emotional responses out of it. And you always want to do this as learning with intention, whatever that is on the radar that maybe you need to improve in specific areas. It's going to really move your needle faster and choose that lesson and consume that information. Decide the behavior changes that you need to implement as well and attach it to the routine. So it's a combination of components to help drive the needle. That's what I just talked about. It's kind of repeating. You have that clarity, what matters most. What will I say no to or remove from my personal environment? What standards am I wanting to set and will not deviate from? So you set those standards in place and it's going to hold you to that position. Because again, that's clarity in multitude of areas that way you set your standard. What's your standard going to be like? Are you going to let that standard slip? Uh, Reflection into action. Insight without action is comfort. Action creates momentum. So again, that's getting clarity. That way, it makes it make sure you're moving in the right direction. Again, not further away from where you want to be, because that happens to happens to us sometimes if we don't take the time to evaluate and figure out kind of exactly where we truly want to go. And because a lot of times what I see is we consistently just do the same thing over and over and over, think it's going to get a different result. And it's 5, 6 years later, and we're doing the same thing, and just as miserable as it was, 10 years ago or 5, 6 years ago. So you got to really think about it from that perspective. Come to one action rule, one lesson, one habit, one standard. Uh, Example, Sunday planning ritual. Do you do that? Map out the week, make sure that you're on task and set up for success. So there's just different ways you can start implementing things within your current environment. It's going to help you perform better next year. Okay. Reflect, honesty, learn intentionality, move forward with clarity. These are just some nice good statements. Again, we want to do the evaluation. What were the wins? Celebrate those, high fives, what systems are working well, and then what were the losses? Okay, what do we need to extract, change? Who do we need to become? Maybe it's environmental changes we need to shift to. What things do we need to remove from our personal environment? And what standard are you going to hold to get there again? And then get clarity on the path or direction. And once you have that, you start putting the pieces together. It's going to build the momentum to start moving you guys forward. So this is just one of those little end of the year things that you can do. Obviously, you can go into strategic planning, things of that nature. This is just a self-reflection way to do it. But you can get into a little bit more detail and in depth with this because I think it's important. But if you're not doing any type of evaluation, I would start there first. You guys want to do some type of reflection, evaluation, you know, and identify what went well, and then from there make some changes. What were the lessons and the losses and the learnings, so you don't repeat them. From a habit standpoint, from a personal identity standpoint, from an environmental standpoint, and then get clear on where you want to go and start moving in that direction. So hopefully this helps a little bit, but I would definitely start with self-reflection, be honest with yourself, identify the components that maybe you've been avoiding and um, and address those. So if you need anything else and want to talk more about this, we can talk about these things in our coaching call. So hopefully this helps a little bit. Talk with you guys soon. And again, next week, I'll probably move my coaching call just based upon the holidays, but I'll let you guys know that. Take care, guys.